Hi. So I'm Ignacio Nunez. I'm the CEO of CellReady. Um, CellReady is a G-Rex-centric CDMO in Houston, Texas. Our vision is to structurally reduce the cost of cell therapies by applying standards. First, identify those standards, and then apply them into the process, and then unlocking the full potential of G-Rex, which we believe is really the plaster of actual performance as well as the future performance. Now, I would like to expand in some of the stats that you were given before. And I was reading this last week and make me think big time. So in 15 years since the clinical trials of cell therapy or CAR Ts in general started, 36,000 patients have been treated. This was end of 2024, 36,000, all right? 15 years. So there is approximately 1 million of patients dying globally for blood cancer that potentially could have received CAR T. So 36,000 in 15 years versus 1 million a year. So there is a huge gap. There is a huge gap in relation to being able to deliver towards the promise of what cell therapies can do. Now, we are focusing on manufacturing, and that's true. Patient access is another huge issue that I don't think we are not even close to tackle. And the thing is, it's a multidimensional issue that nobody is able to figure it out unless you have a great team of like-minded people and companies that are aligned towards that vision. And that vision, the best part is I think we have line of sight of how to fix it, but we have to work together and really identify the reasons to fix those issues or the root causes behind those issues in order to make it happen. Okay, so what I did is I put together some high-level issues or topics that I believe are needed for the industrialization. And I would like to talk about them. And I would like to also talk about the companies that we are collaborating in order to fix all those issues. Okay, so let's start. Talent. Normally, I do this chronologically, material flow, information flow, but because they are like topics that may or may not be altogether part of a workflow, I just did a little brainstorming and put them together. But this is not meant to be the list of all the issues, but I believe if we're able to figure this out, we're going to be well ahead of the pack. Okay, let's start with talent. 2017, August, the first cell therapy is approved by the FDA. Okay, so all of a sudden, we have to start hiring people. I was there with that company. So we hired 300 people. So you hire people, you have to find them, you have to train them, you have to qualify them, and you have to retain them. And guess what? The attrition of those individuals was faster than our capacity to hire them, train them, and qualify them. Why? Because from the beginning, the industry has been focusing on the right people, on the wrong people, sorry. So the mindset back in the day, 2017, was we want the very best. We want the brains. We want the PhDs. Guess what? After being studying and training for 7 years, you don't want to get into GMP and execute batch record. You hate it, right? So those guys will have like 6 months, 8 months, and will quit, and they will go for the next big thing. So then we have to hire again. We have to train again. We have to qualify again, right? So it's a loop of inefficiency. And fast forward, 7 years later, still the industry has not fixed this issue simply because they're focusing on the wrong people. And maybe going to the universities is not even needed. You need people who see the GMP as a step up, no step down. Now, the way that we are fixing this is by going to the community colleges and giving opportunity to people who otherwise there is no way that they can go to the university, but they see this as a change in their lives. And guess what? They kill it. It's absolutely spectacular the way that you can train this amount of people, which is never ending, and then how fast you can qualify them, and then they never leave because this is a step forward in their lives. So that is item number one, talent. Now, how do you retain them? Well, just by creating an environment in which they feel secure. But again, if they see this as a step forward instead of a step backwards, then eventually they stay long time, which is what is happening in CellReady. Second thing, process improvement. Man, cell therapies are complex, are so complicated. No, they're not. They're very easy. But we have this tendency of making impossible for things that you shouldn't be doing. Let me mention impossible media exchanges, open processes, never-ending sample taking, multiple process steps that are absolutely unnecessary, and so on and so forth. So you have to understand that every single time that you are touching the cells, you are messing with the cell growth. And if it's an open process, it's an opportunity for contamination. So eventually, you are shooting yourself on the foot. So what you want to do is to have a system that is closed, that is really simple. You put it in the G-Rex, you put it in the incubator, and you forget about it. And then you come back for the harvest. Now, we see really, really complex processes, which is hard to train people, is very hard to execute, is very easy to make a mistake. And eventually, everything is pilema, and the cost of your cell therapy eventually goes to the roof because simply is really complex. So you have to simplify your process. One thing that I like about Cellular Origins is they don't impose automation on you. They said, no, first, look into your process, fix your process, deliver the right standard, and then develop automation for those standards. Because if you have all those issues and you jump into automation, you're going to have all those issues automatically. And you don't want that. All right. Third thing, too early automation. When is the right moment to do automation? Well, I don't think there is a right moment, to be honest. Whenever you feel you're ready. So if you have a process that you believe where automation will deliver value because it's so simple, it's standardized, so optimized, that all of a sudden you want to, well, take care of that in an automatic one, then that's fine, right? But I don't think that preclinical, clinical, phase 1, phase 2, or commercial, to impose that is the right approach. Well, it all depends on how far along you are in identifying the right standards and you feel comfortable that you have your cost under control, so now you want to make it automatic. Asset utilization. All right. I heard over and over, we have a manufacturing constraint. We have a manufacturing issue. Well, no, we have an underutilization manufacturing issue. Our manufacturing facilities are less than 30% utilized. 30. And I can prove this to you. Why? Because you have, and this was probably the old mindset of cell therapy, say, well, I'm going to build a manufacturing facility because if I build my manufacturing facility, and by the way, I spend 50 million, maybe 100 million, I'm generating value for my company, right? I'm building assets. My equity is going up. That was the mindset in 2017, and that was good back in the day. Now it's the opposite. So you have a manufacturing facility and you have one patient a month, your manufacturing facility is a liability. And your investor, I'm going to hold you accountable for that. Okay? So asset utilization, incubators, biosafety cabinet, people, Lobo, Clinamax, wherever your machine are, just look at your numbers. You're going to see that you barely use them. So I think so many companies that built a manufacturing facility for one patient a month How do you pay for that? You cannot. So a lot of people are telling me, well, there are not investment coming in. The investors' landscape, for some reason, went dry. They don't trust cell therapies. No, they don't trust that you are taking the right decisions. So if you ask money to build a manufacturing facility for one patient a month, you're not going to get money, because it's not only build the manufacturing facility, it's to maintain that manufacturing facility for just one patient a month. That is impossible. There is no way that you can support that in any way or form. Luckily, I believe the industry is changing. I see a paradigm shift, and I think more and more people getting more conscious about this. Overcomplicated quality system. Now, let me get controversial about this. A quality system doesn't have anything to do with quality. There are two different things. Just because you simplify your quality system, that doesn't mean that you are compromising your quality. It has nothing to do. Now, for whatever reason, people tend to be extremely conservative in their quality system. They go to the extreme simply because it worked. And nobody is challenging whether that standard makes sense or not. And guess what? Going to the extreme costs a lot of money. Let me give you a for example. If you go to the FDA and you tell the FDA, guess what? I think gold is a phenomenal conductor. So I'm going to dip all my outlets in my manufacturing facility in gold because I think it's awesome. So the FDA is going to tell you, all right, I agree. So gold is a phenomenal conductor. They're going to tell you, dude, you're going to go down. No, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to say, okay, but if I go to your manufacturing facility, make sure that all your outlets are deep in gold because I'm going to hold you accountable for that standard. All right, so this silly example is an example of quality systems that are so complicated to browse that you have to hire and hire and hire people to browse your own quality system. And you create loops of information and procedures and SOPs that are impossible to browse. I've seen this so many times. You have a pile of paper of non-conformances and cap and open for years of a quality system that has nothing to do with the FDA, was created by their own quality people. Fear to pivot. Okay. I ran into a developer yesterday. I won't say the name. She was doing a presentation. She was talking about a tiny automatic system for her phase 1, phase 2. So after that, I was talking to her. I say, hey, how is that working out for you? Do you like it? I hate it. It's like, okay, why don't you change? Well, I can't. I'm trapped. So I started my trials. I filed the IND. This is the technology that was decided, and now I can't escape. Now, for my next generation, I do want to do something else. And by the way, they obviously considered the G-Rex. But they were trapped. So now she is moving forward to phase 2, potentially, advanced, but she is trapped in something that she knows is not scalable at all. That is failing, that costs a lot of money, that is not efficient, but is trapped, right? And to pivot is not that complicated. There are a lot of standards that you can use. It's not that you have to start all over. Just ask for help, which is another thing that is really important, and I think is going to help the industry big time. What you are doing is not that confidential. Everybody believes like, I got it, but I don't want to share it. So I'm going to show you, but please don't talk to anybody. Okay, guess what? Everybody's doing the same. 80% of the cell therapies are exactly the same. Same equipment, same personnel, same science. You have, okay, 20%, 30% your secret sauce. I give you that. But it's not going to change a lot. So share and learn and ask. Because guess what? Maybe the problems that you have been already figured out before. And you're going to save on lawyers. You're going to save on quality people, you're going to save on consultants, and most importantly, you're going to save time in your clinical trials. Time is really critical. Look, any company that is pre-revenue, very likely you're burning 10% of your capital every single month. You need that sense of urgency. You don't have time to mess around. You have to go for reliable technology. And the more information you can get from the network, the better. Cost control. Probably this is one of my favorite ones. We want to structurally reduce the cost of cell therapies. Everybody. Yeah. So why are you overcharging? So why, when you are providing service to cell therapies or gene therapies for that matter, you're applying a 40% markup over anybody else? Medical devices, traditional pharma, generic, whatsoever. Cell and gene therapy services are by far the most expensive of all. So everybody agreed that we want to structurally reduce the costs of cell therapy so the patients will pay less for the cell therapies. But nobody wants to be the first person reducing their cost. We will, and we are actually. As a CDMO, I know very well what are the costs of other CDMOs, and I don't want to compete with them. I'm telling you, CellReady is going to be a third of the cost of everybody else, because we mean it. We want to structurally reduce the cost of cell therapies, and we will do it with like-minded people. Now, there are 3 items that we have to consider for cost control: labor, material, and overhead. Labor, again, coming back to the cell and gene therapies, there are not higher salaries than in cell and gene therapy in any other part of the world. Cell and gene therapy, so when you took life science spectrum, you have probably academia, hospitals, pharma, cell and gene therapies. 20-30%, and I'm being conservative. That is in relation to labor. In relation to materials, well, if you don't have your process under control, you have a lot of variation, you have a lot of process failures. Eventually, you're going to have to repeat multiple times the same process to generate the same amount of outcome that you could get otherwise if your processes are efficient. And the last thing is overhead. Again, if you have a massive manufacturing facility, you spend $50 million to build it, and you have to maintain it, and you have 1 patient a month, that is not sustainable. So yeah, your costs are going to go to the roof. So this is like-minded people and like-minded companies. So for the first one, we are partnered with San Jacinto College. It's a community college that is developing a biotechnology program that is going to last 1 to 2 years. It's going to take people who have no background in biotechnology whatsoever, Uber drivers, cooks, people from McDonald's, doesn't matter. You can get enough know-how to get into the clean room and do aseptic manipulation and execute batch record just by going to the community college. And we are partnering with them, and we have the first wave of people coming out in a couple of months. Has been beautiful, by the way. We are also, we want to become one of the most efficient CDMOs in the world, so we are training our personnel in Lean Six Sigma, and all our personnel is going to be Green Belt certified this year. So we are partnering with the Shingo Institute to help us to accomplish that task. The next thing is process improvement. And together with Applied Cells and Caring Cross, we are looking into how to close the system, how to reduce the process steps, how to get more with less faster. Now, we are aiming to somewhere in 2025, we're going to launch our new CAR-T process, and I think it's going to be spectacular. I think it's going to be definitely a paradigm change. Cellular Origins. I don't give this for free, guys, and it's not because, well, they invited me and I appreciate it, but the truth of the matter is they really know what they're doing. They don't impose automation. And I like what Jason told me, like, hey, Jason, I want to do automation with Cellular Origins, so I heard that you're going to close the process. So I no, you are going to close the process, and once that you close the process, you come to us. I cannot fix your issues. You have to fix the issues, otherwise you're going to make your issues automatic. Right? All right, so not everybody is like that, and I do appreciate that. Automation, do I believe in automation? Yes, I do. Do I believe it's the future? Yes, I do. But you have to fix your issues first. Asset utilization, man, the picture from Mary Kay, that's awesome, right? So she showed you 10 G-Rexes 500 that indeed you can get 250,000,000,000 cells out there, right? But then if you go to a ScaleReady booth, you're gonna see that you can have the G-Rex 10 and the G-Rex 100, and you can have up to 120 per G-Rex. That is 120 patients per incubator. So if you have an incubator stack, you can have more than 200 patients. So in terms of blueprint, utilization, that is awesome. Good job. Overcomplicated quality system. Look, one of the most efficient quality systems that I think in life science is Wilson Wolf. Is off the chart. We are copy pasting that quality system into CellReady. That's why we believe very firmly that we're going to be able to recalibrate what the meaning of quality and what the meaning of the right quality system is going to be. Fear to pivot. Come to CellReady. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but we will help you. And we will use the network. We'll use that network to help you to pivot. And last but not least, we have the ScaleReady ecosystem. And what you see there are all the partners that are part of the ScaleReady ecosystem. And also BioExcellence, which is the consulting that we use for cost control as well. Right? So you see, this is a end-to-end continuum of goodness. Like-minded personnel, like-minded companies that we are coming together to change the paradigm of cell therapies.
With all the different partnerships, and obviously each company's got own agendas and things like that, but what do you think's important to make them a success? I mean, with Thermo, how did you make that work and come together to improve asset utilization?
Well, basically, I give a to-do list to Mary Kay. So Mary Kay, so your incubators fail in all these things. Please correct it. No, so okay, so look, the first major correction that Mary Kay did is, I'm not sure you guys get it, but it's the difference between 2 G-Rexes to 10 G-Rexes. I mean, and the difference in space is literally 4 more inches, right? So with 4 more inches, and who cares, of blueprint, you get 5 times more throughput. Right? So that is direct feedback from the industry to say, Mary Kay, you have a phenomenal product, but it could be better if you hear the feedback of what we need, right? Okay, so that is the first feedback, and she made it happen. The second feedback is, okay, so now that we go to high throughput, right, we're gonna even increase the amount of G-Rexes that we're gonna have inside, right? That creates some issues that we had to figure out, right? So I provide feedback, and then I says, okay, so if I want to be the go-to provider of incubators, and I know that CellReady is going to become the industry leader in developing the standard CAR-T, I better listen to CellReady and make all those corrections so I can offer that to the community, because if this become the standard, everybody's going to have the same issue. So I better get ahead of the pack and correct it.